I've tried to develop a lot of good habits. Okay, some. Some lasted days, some probably lasted a couple of hours. Now, let's be honest, there are probably a few of those that even lasted a few minutes. But then there were these ridiculously tiny things that I've tried almost on a whim that somehow stuck. Why did I spend so much time thinking about all of the big things that I haven't managed to implement instead of giving myself credit for the tiny things I actually have? I'm wondering if you had one of those too. Some tiny change you didn't think was a big deal, but at the end, they all started to add up and they started to make a bigger change than what you actually expected. I don't know about you, but I have had some long list of grand plans and life-changing habits over the years. Some I keep attempting over and over again, like giving up caffeine. Okay, but then that sneaky little caffeine headache just starts pulsating behind the eyeball, and that's when it has me saying, another coffee, please. I get it in an instant. I'm still not giving up on that one, but caffeine is currently winning. Can't help it. There are habits I pronounced I would absolutely do from now on. Then the motivation wears off, and it just quietly slips away, sometimes to be brought back and sometimes never to be mentioned again. Okay, surely I'm not the only one with a graveyard full of good intentions. What have you tried to establish a habit on over and over, but still struggle with? Then there are the habits I didn't approach as some huge life-changing project. I just tried them, and somehow those are the ones that became part of my life. I've always struggled with piles. Piles of paperwork, piles of clothes, piles of dishes. Then I tried a few small suggestions, and before I knew it, they were just part of my life. It's almost as if they are instinctive. But at the end of the day, those little changes have made a huge impact on me and how I feel in our own home. It now feels more peaceful, and it doesn't add stress. What tiny thing or habit have you implemented in your life that is now automatic without even thinking about it? And what all this has got me to thinking about. Why do we give so much importance to the big changes? Oh my God, you got to look at this. Oh, look at that. Isn't that cool? Squirrel moment. That's just cool. Sorry. We give so much credit to the big changes like I'm losing all the weight, I'm getting into shape, I'm completely changing how I eat. Whatever version that is for you. Those sound important and life-changing, but something tiny that quietly makes your life a little easier every single day, we barely count it. Maybe it's because a goal is just that. It's harder, it's not easy to achieve, and it's totally worth celebrating. But tiny habits, they're silently operating in the background. Oh, that's nothing. But I don't know about you, but sometimes the tiny habits are the easier to stick with. They're the ones I actually implement. In fact, the tiny goals, they probably stick longer than the larger ones. Then I have to argue about, does the impact matter more than the size? Maybe consistency deserves some credit. Let me ask you, are you discounting something because it feels too small? What are you doing today that the old you wasn't even doing? I think that is worth celebrating. And while I was thinking about all this, I noticed something else that I'm not sure I have an answer for just yet. Some of the habits that changed are the habits, let me get that straight. The habits that stuck with me are the habits that were external to me, that were not internal, but my surroundings. Somehow those were easier to implement than the changes within myself. Waking up and making a bed, easier. Dealing with a sink full of dishes, easier. Things involving my own health, harder. Do I prioritize habits differently based on if it is for me or for my environment? Does that happen to you too? So now I'm wondering whether I have been approaching some of my bigger goals completely backwards. Maybe instead of asking, what's the big change I need to make? I should be asking, what's the ridiculously tiny version of that change that I could actually keep doing? Not the version that's impressive, the version that actually sticks. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm good at implementing habits, but that tiny one, the ones I managed to stick and trick myself into doing almost without thinking, I'm going to stop dismissing them as inconsequential. I think I'm actually going to give them the credit they deserve because they truly made an impact in my life. Those tiny successes will compound over time. It doesn't have to be a dramatic transformation in the end. What are you already doing that deserves some credit? I think I'm going to start giving the tiny things just a little more respect. Because maybe the question isn't whether I've made some enormous life-changing transformation. Maybe it's what's a little better today because of something small I started yesterday. And if I can find one of those, I'm going to count it. So now I want yours. What's one ridiculously tiny habit you started that ended up making a bigger difference than you expected? Because I think maybe we've spent enough time celebrating the big transformations. Let's celebrate the tiny ones too. Thanks for watching. And I'm going to end with the tree. The tree. Dang it. Where's the tree? And I'm going to end with, it's too hard to get the tree. Maybe, oh my gosh, I'm sweating. It's hot. Oh my God, walking and talking is so hard.